Hey, babe, you got to find some emotional stability if you want to change your life. I'm Erica. This is Mental Wealth with me, where I bring my best big sister energy. I've got 40 years of practice over here being a big sister, and real advice and sometimes tough advice to help you change your life. And today might be a little bit of a spicy topic, but buckle up, hold on to your seats. I'm also premenopausal over here, so just ride with this, okay? That's where the spice. No, the spice is natural, okay. But like the menopause just adds to the spice. So, sweet girl, my friend, my love, my little sister, get an emotional grip already. And I say that as one whose emotions. So some part of me is talking to me, and this is the exact same conversation that I've had with myself. I still have with myself because hormone fluctuations, girl. So I say this from a place of one who's walking through it right now. Get an emotional grip on yourself. There is a steadfast rule that you cannot be emotional and logical at the same time. All right? Can't do it. I can't do it either. Men can't do it. Nobody, no human can be emotional and logical at the same time. And so you got to get an emotional grip on yourself. What the heck does that mean? That means when your boss is yelling at you, you got to hold it. You got to just wish him death in your head, but keep your face neutral. That's talking to me right there. You can't break down all the time over stuff that goes on around you when your kids are pitching fits, as kids are prone to do because they haven't learned emotional regulation yet. You have to be the emotionally regulated one, okay? You can't be screaming at your toddler because they're throwing a fit. Babe, they're gonna throw fits. Toddlers throw fits. Your job is to be the emotional bulwark, the seawall that the waves crash against, and hold it. Get an emotional grip on yourself, because if the kid is at an 11 and you rise to meet them at an 11, the whole world's going to explode. But if the kid is at their 11 and you're down here being at a 2 or 3 because you're human and they get on your nerves, eventually they will bring it back down and they'll meet you where you're at. But if you're both up here, you're both screaming and yelling and kicking and throwing things, you've both lost. The one who can hold their emotional self wins the argument. And I've done this at work. Short story, I was ambushed into a meeting with a colleague who had a real problem with me, and she was accusatory and all sorts of things that I don't want to get into because ain't nobody's business but mine. And she was going off the deep end, in many more ways than one, I guess. And what I did, I sat and I held my emotional center, because I'm not going to let someone else drag me out of me. I know myself, and I know my stoicism, and I know my ability to hold on to my emotions, because I'm practiced at this. I've done this lots of times. You you don't walk around this world when you're like me, and I don't give a crap a lot of times about what people think. I've been in situations many times where people lose their cool around me because they don't get a rise out of me, so they lose their shit. And I've got lots of practice at having that emotional grip on myself, where I sit back and I hold it and I wait, and then I unload. But I don't unload screaming. I don't unload yelling. I don't unload emotionally. Instead, I bring my logic. Because you can't be emotional and logical at the same time. You simply cannot. This is a constant conversation that we have in my household because some people are triggered very easily, like hair triggers. Surprisingly, I don't have one. I still have one, but I've got a lot of practice at whoop, pull it back, and then I fight with logic. And then I fight with proof. I said it in a video just before this one, that she who documents wins. And I want to tell you that I won that ambush because I had the documentation. Because I didn't lead with emotion. I led with logic and proof. And this is probably really applicable to a work situation because we all have those colleagues. If you work with people, there's somebody who's driving you nuts. It's like a rule, I guess. I don't know. And so when you are ambushed, when your boss wants to have that surprise meeting, you better have your ducks in a row. All right? Meet my duck. Okay? I only got one so far. But you better have your ducks in a row. You better have your paperwork right. You better have your documentation. You better have your proof. And proof could be things like screenshots. Screenshots never lie, right? Proof can be writing down the date, the time, the interaction. Proof can be the email that you sent after the phone call, giving a recap of everything. Proof can be the recording of a Zoom. Proof can be a transcript of your one-on-one. Now, check your consent laws. Some states are two-party, some are one. But I have found often that when I said, I am recording this and you will give your verbal permission to do so. If you choose not to give that permission, we will not have this conversation. Things like that go a long way because they'll either give permission or you won't have the conversation, and you win either way. And then you will, in your documentation, say, I asked for verbal permission to record this. So-and-so denied that permission. Meeting didn't happen. And again, it's documenting. And I didn't plan on this one to be about workplace interactions, but most of us work. And so this is kind of important stuff. And now your job is not here to be sneaky Sally. Your job is to cover your own butt, protect your own assets, because HR is not there for you. They're not. They're there to protect the liability of the company, and you are a liability. People are the number one liability in every company, and you're a people, so you're included in that. But if you go in half-cocked to HR and all emotional and just blah, 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 you're losing your battle. So if you need to settle your emotions, take a walk, take a step out, take a drive, I don't know. And if you can't leave, you look your supervisor in the face and say, I'm leaving, I'll be back in 10, and dare them to do anything. Again, this is where you've documented all these things. And in your documentation would say, I told supervisor on this day that I'm taking a 10-minute break after a heated interaction with whomever. I know this all sounds very doom and gloom, but it's not. It's lessons that I keep trying to teach the young women around me, and I'm going to teach all ages of people who are watching this, that your emotions will never win the fight. Whether that fight is at work, whether that fight is with your partner, that fight is with your sister, your emotions aren't going to win. It's purely my opinion. This is just purely me, and I'm just telling you what I think, so don't take this as the gospel. That when I yell, I've lost. If I get to the point where I'm yelling, I've lost the argument. And I remind myself of that as I get worked up, as I get heated, as they're yelling. When I yell, I've lost. And that settles me back into this cold anger, because when my voice comes out steady, when my voice comes out low and dangerous, the other person has already lost. And so when I can approach an emotionally charged situation from a rational standpoint, I've won. And I know the argument isn't always to win, but sometimes it is, especially if it's an employer-employee situation, a supervisor thing. Yeah, I'm going to win that one, because I'm going to maintain my own standard, my own emotional stability. And I'm here to really encourage you to do the same. Now, I know that I'm able to do that because I know that winning an argument looks very different in my worldview. Winning the argument means I maintain my own standard of dignity. Winning the argument means I don't have to raise my voice. I don't have to yell. I can scare you with my rationale. And I have seen it play out in real life, that when I hold my emotion and I show up deadly calm, it freaks everybody else out. And that's how I win. And now in the corporate world, in the work world, when you hold your calm and you're able to present calmly your evidence, your documentation, etc., you are the winner. Okay? The emotional one loses. Now, when you're arguing with your partner, I have to remind myself, and I have to remind him all the time, we're not here to win. We're here to coexist. We're here to love one another. And I have to approach that differently than I approach a work world. And that's a difficult negotiation in myself, where I'm not there to eviscerate him with evidence. I'm there to reach a solid, safe ground somewhere in the middle, where we can reconnect, because often, like, the arguments are always stupid. They're always like dumb stuff, where one of us is hit on the wound of another one. You know, but I mean, it's important stuff, but it's also like the dumb stuff. It's like the final straw on the camel stuff. And so I'm not there to win. I'm not there to beat him over the head with evidence like I would in a corporate setting. And that's a tough negotiation. And so you have to be aware of your situation and what tactic you're going to use. But at the end of the day, no matter the situation, whether you've got a Karen at the grocery store, a toddler throwing a fit, a spouse driving you crazy, or a supervisor being a butthead, your emotional intelligence, your emotional fortitude, and your ability to choose logic over emotion is what will change your game. So I know that was a lot of information. I hope you listen to all of it and maybe can pull a couple of things out of there, because different situations require a different you. You can't be the same you at work as you are at home. You can't be the same you are with your kid as you are, it requires that switching of hats. So maybe you'll find something in there, but at the end of the day, you've got to work on your own emotional stability so that every time you're triggered, you don't hit the ceiling. You're still going to hit the ceiling every once in a while, but if it's 10 out of 10 times you are triggered and you just bam, emotion, you've lost. So stop it. Learn how to be triggered and control your emotion, because the trigger's probably never going to go away. I hate to tell you that, but it's just how it is. But you got to learn how to be triggered and not flip out. Be triggered and still, when your boss is calling you incompetent and then you just show proof after proof after proof after proof of your competency. You've got to learn how to do these things. It will help you at work. It will help you with a kid. It will help you with general people and then the morons driving on this road. All of those things. So I wish you luck. This will be a lifetime of a learning experience, but it's worthy work. and I believe that you can do it. I'll see you later.